going on? Mike here once more from Settling. And this evening, as always, we are coming with great story. We have a very special guest this evening with us. Her name is Amina. She's going to introduce herself shortly. If you watched the video before today, you would already get an idea of what we're going to be talking about this evening. I'd like to thank everyone who follow the stories that we tell from the Settling desk. As always, this is done in collaboration with Opportunity Pulse. Before I proceed, I would like our special guest this evening to briefly introduce herself. Amina, please. You need to unmute yourself, Amina. We can't hear you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
First of all, thank you for the invitation this evening. My name is Amina Mugenyi Görsch. Because I'm a lady, I will not say my exactly age. I will just say I'm already 50 plus. Yeah, and I'm living in Berlin since ever. Berlin has become my second home. Beside being born in Africa, in Uganda particularly, I've spent my lifetime more time in Germany, in Berlin, than I've spent in Africa. So Berlin, I can say German. It's my home. That's become my home. And yes, I would like to share with you my precious time here.
Great. Thank you so very much. So, for those of you who are joining or watching our show for the first time, um, so what we do is we bring stories from the diaspora space, precisely in Germany. We want to tell our stories by ourselves and also to show the experiences of other people so that collectively we can all learn. And Steven, my colleague and business partner, as always, is here. And without wasting further time, let's move into the business of the evening. So, Steven, I think we can start, or we can proceed rather.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike. You already done the introduction of me. The co-host of this Opportunity Pulse platform, and we are so honored and delighted to have Amina today because not only she's one of the people that I've been looking at from the Ugandan community and being inspired by what she's managed to achieve, her humility, her personality, but also she's a creative. She's a human rights activist. She's an entrepreneur. She's a mother, and she's everything. So I'm so happy that we can share this platform and ask a couple of questions. So thank you so much for coming, Amina.
Thank you, Stephen. I am now really, really getting red, turning red when I hear so many compliments from your side.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess our audience would enjoy seeing Amina red, becoming red. Yeah.
yeah. What I find interesting is you don't find every other day someone who has lived in Germany for over 40 years and still very vibrant, vibrant, outgoing, and just wants to continue to give back. So I find it very interesting. And um, I also wish that more and more we can continue to connect to more people like Amina. But, anyways, this evening we're all going to learn and share the story, and then hopefully we all get inspired.
Certainly. So, Mike, would you like to start? Should I go ahead?
Yeah, please proceed, Stevie.
Yeah. So as always, I mean, it's always an opportunity before we do anything to give you a chance to tell us further more about yourself. Um, who is Amina behind Amina? Like, what should the audience know about you that they haven't known yet?
Well, who's Amina? First of all, just a human being like anyone else, a woman, an African woman born in Uganda in the 60s. I spent my primary time in Uganda, and then during the 60s to 70s, those who have a little bit background of the history of Uganda, they know it was very challenging. The time was not easy. We had wars, and That time, end of 70s, I had to leave Uganda because after the war, everything was destroyed, and my father suggested to send me to my grandmother, which was living in Kenya. So I call myself a border child. So since my childhood, I've been moving always to borders between Uganda and Kenya because my grandmother, as I said, she was living in Kenya, and my father and my other siblings were living in Uganda. But basically, we are all from Uganda. So
Mm.
in holidays, I used to go to visit my grandmother. That's how I came to learn speaking Swahili. Sometimes I even attended school in Kenya. But the last trip from Uganda to Kenya was actually for me not. I was not aware how changing, how deep is going to be a change in my life. Because as we Africans, we know our parents, they never shared with us their intentions or what kind of plans they have for us. In these days, when we bring up our children, we sit down with them, we discuss with them, we explain to them. But back on that days, my dad just told me, actually, on weekend, you are going with your uncle to visit your grandmother. Just prepare yourself. And I said, okay, it's nothing new. I've been doing that often. So I packed the small things you need, just something to change, some clothes. And one of my uncle came and picked me up, and we started the journey. And it was very challenging because Uganda was that time still bombed. And we took actually almost the last train, which was still functioning between East African community, Kenya, Uganda. The last train we took it from Uganda to go to the border to change Kenya. So that's how when I arrived in Kenya, my grandmother told me, so you know you're not going back. And I was,
Just like that.
yes. So she was like, so first of all, what you have to know, when you are outside of this house, don't speak Luganda at all. You have to speak English, or you have to learn as soon as possible to communicate in Kiswahili, because if you speak Luganda outside and people acknowledge, listen to you talking it, the people are deported. Actually, there was that time Uganda and Kenya, they had conflicts as well. That was the side from Idi Amin have been taken over, but the connection between Uganda and Kenya was not so friendly as it used to be before. So when sometimes people find you on the street speaking Uganda,
Yeah.
as they say in German, they haben dich denunziert. So they call police or military, and all of a sudden, for example, someone goes, you send your child to go buy milk, and it doesn't come back. You don't know where it is. They just collect you, put you on the lorry or whatever, and bring you back to Busia or the border close to Uganda. So I learned very fast that I have to be silent, and I had to learn the language.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I spent like 2 years in Kenya with my grandmother, and then they planned the next journey for me. They said, actually, there's no need for you to stay here longer. Girls, anyway, they will get married. Uh, and we already have relatives in Europe. You should travel. Make it short. And it
Hmm.
was like the way they packaged it, it was you have opportunity, you are going to be going to school, you will study. And I was passionate to study since my childhood. I really loved going to school. So I was like, okay, when I can have the opportunity to study, definitely. At that time, I was like 16 and a half. So I said, okay, then I will go study. Then the journey started to Germany. Actually, basically, it was planned that I'll continue to other relatives in Switzerland, but it happened that I stayed in Germany. So since 1983, in summer 93, June, as much I remember, June, I arrived in Bielefeld. If you know 83, the history of Germany.
Yeah.
At the time, it was still a divided Germany, but I had my visa for West Germany. So
Yeah.
I arrived, but I came with a Aeroflot from Russia Airline. So I had to land in Schönefeld. And when I arrived in Schönefeld, it was scaring, actually very scary, because it was so cold. The people were so, how do you call it? So cool. So,
Okay.
and then when I saw the military, people are carrying weapons. There's no smile. Everything is strange. And I didn't understand the language at all,
Hmm.
besides English. So they were asking me where I am going, and I said I'm to West Germany. That's where I was supposed to go, because I convinced that I was not alone. I was with a family friend.
Okay.
Mm,
So they actually, those days, Uganda didn't actually need visa to enter Germany.
mm.
Uganda was visa free. So I entered a bus and we drove from Schönefeld to West Berlin. And that's where I started to integrate myself. Since then, I'm here.
Wow.
Ah.
What a journey. What a journey. Like to someone who is listening, maybe some of them are just imagining at that time I was probably not even yet born. This woman has experienced so much. I can imagine the power of experiencing that the transition from Uganda to Kenya and then from Kenya to Germany, and in circumstances that were not in your making, but you were just fulfilling what someone was telling you to do.
Yeah.
Um, the memories that you have of this time, what do you think was number one thing on your mind, wherever you're doing at that time? Was it survival? Was it the reaching there, discovering what's on that side? What was uh, what was the drive at that time?
I think it was not discovering, it was survive. I was in a survival mode still. Because
Mm,
if I look back today and reflect, it was I never really even had time to sit down and talk to my grandmother like what I've experienced in Uganda during the war. But even within Uganda, we had to flee. We had to flee the town because when the Tanzania army were coming, we had to leave the city. We had to
mm,
go up country and hide ourselves. I was before in boarding school. We also had, there was all the time chaos. You had to hide as students and come back home. And my father was not there, was missing. He was
mm,
kidnapped. So there were so many things, but I never had that time even to sit down and tell someone about what has been going on in me. I was
mm,
always continuing in my survival mode. Today I
mm,
know they call it survival mode, that traumatized of survival modes. You
mm,
just switch off and you just go ahead. So when I
Hmm.
arrived in Berlin, it was like I just knew I have to survive somehow.
mm,
And I have to learn the language. That was always my goal. I had to learn the language because I realized very fast that people around me they talk to you nicely, they laugh, they
mm,
smile, but actually don't understand anything.
mm,
Yeah.
So for me, it was a key, the first key. You have to learn the language so that you are able to communicate, but not communicate as you just chatting, but to be in a position to protect myself because I always knew very early in very early years it's up to me to protect myself. So and
Hmm.
the key to that is the language. I have to understand. I have to communicate.
Yeah.
So
mm.
it was a survival mode, definitely.
Certainly. Maybe Mike will come in here, but just to connect it to the next, that you are in the survival mode. You know that you need the language to make it here. What are some of the first migrant experiences that you made here that formed you, the person that you are today?
Honestly, I've experienced from some few people a lot of love
Mm,
and understanding. I think since I was that time very young, and some people they saw how young I was and insecure, and they were so welcoming and protective. But from stranger actually, more from the stranger than those who are close to me.
Mm.
So the most help and the most empowerment I received it mostly from strangers most of the time. There was a time I was so desperate. I felt so alone. I felt so abandoned from my family because I didn't see it as a blessing that I'm in Europe. Ends up
Mm,
being for me an abundance. I felt like, why of all of my siblings, I am sent out of my family. I'm sent out. I've been sent away.
yeah.
So, and I could not communicate. Those days we didn't have this one.
Yeah.
We had sometimes, okay, there was a telephone at my grandma's place, but was you called once in a while. You had first to call the German post office. You have to confirm I want to call to Africa. Then they tell you, okay, we will call you back. Then they call you back. Then you have to give them the number. They try to connect you, and when you are lucky, it goes through. If not, bad luck. So we communicated through writing letters. If it was urgent, we sent telegram. I don't know if any generation of today know what it means to send a telegram. You really catch your words. That is like how do you call it? Maybe WhatsApp is even too long. What is the where you write very short words?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Twitter. We used to Twitter with telegram.
okay,
So
interesting.
it was
So this is different from the telegram we know today, right?
100%.
definitely.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
may say actually there was a time where I felt like I don't belong here, not because the people are not friendly to me. It was just a strange country. When I
Mm.
experienced my first winter, when I experienced the coolness, the food you eat, all the things which actually makes your life comfort, which I was got used to in Uganda, completely differently. And besides not being able to communicate with people of your own, there was no Ugandans at that time. I knew no one. Besides,
Mm,
no, I knew no Africans at all. There was no African. It would take sometimes a half year before you met an African on the street.
Mm.
So it was very isolating.
Mm.
And there was a certain time I think I had depression, I may say today.
Mm.
But as I've said, I met some good Samaritans, German Samaritans, an old couple which really supported me. By accident, I met a young lady where I was like, yeah, I think I may say there was a time I really thought about suicide. And
Mm.
oh,
then a young lady, German, she just gave me shelter. She just told me, you can stay in my place until you have recovered, you have find your strength. So
mm,
it was the way I am today is beside my character that normally I'm a very positive person. I believe in the goodness of each and everyone. I try not to judge a person if I don't really know you. The first time when I meet people, I always believe the positive sides of the person. So,
yeah.
and I've also met a lot of positive people and loving people, caring people. So that has always motivated me to stay positive. And faith, you discover faith, you discover God when you experience some circumstances in life. And I don't connect my faith to religion. I just say you discover your faith and God within you when you undergone some circumstances.
Yeah.
Mm. Amazing. I don't know. Mike, would you like to come in
100%.
there?
Yeah. Like when you look at the times today, you see both the good and maybe the bad side. A lot of things that people struggle with today was not the case back then. For
Sure.
example, you didn't need to apply for a visa. It was just a visa free, and then you came in. But then the situation was completely different. Today, it's like the reverse. It's very tough for many people, they're going to think it's like businessman coming to Germany, you know. But um, then it's difficult to come. But once you're here, the lifestyle is a bit different. It's more friendly than it was back in the days, you know. So, but when you look back, what are the differences that you see today? And uh, is there a part of you that feels like you wish you had come to Germany now and not then. Um, what has changed so far? I think you've experienced it in the last 4 decades. How have you seen the changes, from then until now?
Um, well, I may say that me personally, a little bit more mature. I would have
Okay.
still liked to come on those days because it was more safe. It was more innocent. Let us say naive. I was naive, but the time also was still naive. I think the Germans themselves, they were still also discovering themselves after the Second War. They have been
Yeah.
still building themselves. They were concentrating themselves. I think they still also were struggling with their own traumas. They didn't have so much time of discriminating someone as such as it is today.
Okay.
Of course, the micro discrimination, not racism, discrimination. I try to differentiate that one, which we all human beings struggle with. They were there, but I was always, I may say today, they were always out of this knowledge. And if you are foreign, what I don't know, how does the German say? Ein Bauer frisst nicht, was er nicht kennt, something like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it was always when they ask you questions and they came close to you, it was fine.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's why I say if it was that I was a little bit more mature, I would have liked to come in the same days like
Hmm.
today. But the people who comes today, the opportunities which are already here now, and the openness and the awareness and
Yeah.
the empowering, and of course we are more now. There are more people in the diaspora of ourselves,
Hmm.
and the opportunities and the medias to inform yourself. They are there. Those days, really, it was like someone take you from Maogola and put you in. I'm sorry, Maogola is the deepest village in Uganda.
Okay.
A Lego country somewhere, and then they place you somewhere in the city.
So,
So
Mike, for reference, you could think someone came from a kitty state to Berlin, right?
Are you serious?
you're like, they just spot you somewhere. So in that case,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that time was innocent and it was still friendly. Of course, many things were not yet here. As I've said, I think the German were still also handle their own traumas, which they still had. But if it comes to daily life, you
Yeah.
people, you can't imagine. I could not even buy a mango in German, or despite getting any tropical product. Uh,
Hmm.
you could go to KaDeWe, if you know KaDeWe, Kaufhaus des Westens. That
Hmm.
was the only shop in this country where you can get something out exported. So you
Yes.
went there and you bought a mango for almost like 5 day mark, and you like share it for the whole week.
Wow.
Or I cooked for myself green bananas, the bananas we eat here, because we didn't have
Hmm.
matoke, but just to have a sense of taste of banana, because Baganda, we survive from green bananas, matoke.
Hmm.
So I bought the green bananas of here and tried to prepare myself a stew, at least to have that home feeling.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if I walk around today and I just see how people are moving, how the openness, the hard work, which also I'm part of it. The diaspora have done to empower people here, African communities, and education, also to educate Germans and Africans, because also
Yeah.
ourselves. There's some stories we don't know about our own African cultures, which we only start to learn when we are here. There are many things I
Hmm.
didn't know by myself. There's so many even historical things I didn't know about my African upcoming. So I educated myself here because it's free, because I had the
Yeah.
access to it. So
Hmm.
that is, I think, and politically also, it maybe right now looks like as if things are getting worse, but out of my opinion, it's also a lot of propaganda and media propaganda, which they put so much strength to direct people in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And if you are not brave enough, if you're not open-minded enough to question things and inform yourself, you may end up also in a certain line.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
still believe that also politically here, things have changed to a positive way for the diaspora, for the migration. It's not perfect, definitely not. There's some things are still complicated out of the system because the system also some of them they're like still from
The
1900
yeah, yeah, the olden days.
so but I see positivity, but I also see the challenges which the new generation are facing. I also see the fear and many things which are happening right now negatively. To mention just the recent case I've read about the young man which have been killed.
Yeah.
I I don't have enough information to say what exactly happened, but it shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
happen. But it doesn't matter. It matters that is an African again, but it shouldn't happen to any younger man because a dead human being is a dead human being, and he will not
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's sad. It's very sad. It makes me furious actually to imagine that a young man of such an age can be just shut down because of his race, because of his color.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
that is what is the fear which is today. I never experienced it so much in those days. I always felt free. And that's why, like you said on the beginning, how can someone stay so positive? Because for me, I experienced a lot of positive things, but I
Yeah.
also had my challenges. Work-wise, I had challenges. You hear things, people tell you things, and of course it hurts you, it pinches you. You go to our something, someone tells you, "Excuse me." Oh, actually, first of all, we employ the Germans, then
Mm.
the Italians, maybe probably the French, all the European countries, but Africa is very far. So
Yeah.
just imagine yourself, you're on the list very backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're,
Mm-hmm.
you're down or below. So, Sie stehen ganz unten. Africa is ganz unten. I said, wow. So
Yeah.
those days, I didn't even know how to react. I just accepted. I said, she's right. Africa is very far. Today,
Mm-hmm.
she will have to deal with me if she tells me something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I mean, I would like to come in there because you touched on a number of interesting points about the transition, how society has changed from that time where people were actually friendly, even though you were very few of you. And then now where we have lots of migrants, the diaspora community growing much bigger,
Yeah.
but then the social cohesion or the lot of conflicts coming in now. And one of the things that I've known about you for the recent years was or is that you are that kind of a uniting factor. You are that kind of magnet. You always want to bring people together. And I wanted to know whether this is partly because of what you're experiencing, that for Africans or diasporans to be taken seriously and recognized, there needs to be a sort of unity and coming together to have a common voice. Is this something that has informed your efforts, what you've been trying to do over the years, whether it is through the Ugandan community, whether through the migration rat, or whether it is the Africa rat, and all these organizations that you've been part of? What has shaped your opinion towards that?
Thank you, Stephen. That is, I agree with you definitely that it has been a shaping time, definitely.
Hmm.
As you say, you can say, I came as a raw diamond and I was shaped by Yeah, definitely. The first motivation was that until today, I still remember what it means to come in a country and you feel so lost and lonely.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter whether you know that people are there who are like you. But the first impression, even today, I believe those who come here or anyone who goes in a different country, which he doesn't call his own home, you feel lonely, you feel displaced, you feel desperate. Everything is new. And having that in my mind always, I always wanted to make someone who come here feel welcome, feel supported. And the time when I met people of Uganda community and the way they welcomed me, we were very few but strong those days, really very close. Everyone knew each other. We used to call each other to know what's going on if someone misses. And when I came to Uganda community, it was already shortly formed before, and I was taken there by another Ugandan lady I happened to meet those days, and I felt for the first time like, oh my God, I'm not alone. I speak my language. I can sing. I can drum. I can. Everything was like it started to change my life and my children's life as well. To show them that hey, there's a culture where I come from, and it's not
Mhm.
only me telling you stories, but there are other people's and other children as well experiencing the same thing. And worked in Uganda community, actually, our aim was always also to make it easy for exactly like students, for any Ugandans who come here to have a chance not to be by himself, to help him to accommodate with the yeah to to integrate himself easily, but also not to be alone with challenges, with problems. Sometimes also just to meet and share and enjoy yourself. And then within that time, I came across with other Africans, diaspora living here from Senegal. We were very close friends. People from Togo, we were very close. The Congolese who are here, so if we meet all those people, we knew each other. And we, some of us, we recognize that why actually we always have so many challenges because we are always divided. Africa is a big country. When people see us, they only know others are African, but they don't really sometimes recognize that we are 56th country on the black
Yep.
plate, but actually 86 on the world. Ne? We are many different nations. We are still nations within Africa. So it's not easy just to throw it together and believe that things will just work out.
Yeah.
But for those who are here, we tried to form each other so that we are well represented here. That's how we came up with first of all the migrants who are there. We said let us at least have a umbrella organization like Migrations at Berlin Brandenburg, which represent us migrants here in Berlin, so that we have a say in any political issues, that we feel represented in any kind of political issues. And then we Africans, we recognize that, of course, okay, we are with the others, but still between ourselves, we also have a lot of challenges which others doesn't understand. If I walk around with a Romanian or a Poland or a Turkish person, as an African, I'm the first one to be targeted. I'm the first one to be recognized. I'm the first one to be pointed of any.
Yeah.
So we came up with the idea to form also another Dachverband, umbrella organization of Africans, to represent Africans as well. It's not easy. There are many things have happened through those organizations. Many good things have happened through those organizations. But I still believe and I hope that the new generation which is now here, they also try to participate. And I see it. I see it, and I'm so happy that the generation of my children, all those who are 30, 40, even below, they have that strength and self-bewusstsein, self-confidence.
Yeah.
So, and when I see things on Instagram or in Facebook, how people talk, how they represent, they search for the history. This it's not perfect, but it works. It works, and I encourage everyone not to try do things by your own, but to find strength with others. Because how do you say in Uganda, Stephen? Ogwawamu? Ogwawamu?
Uganda.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
strength, we all shall find strength in
yeah,
unity,
yeah,
because, and it's not
yeah.
only Africans, it's a human thing. No human being is born to be alone and to manage this world alone. You need to have one or two friends. When you have one, you're already lucky. When you have two, you are blessed. And when you have a bunch of, I mean, we have it in our tales. They say it takes a village to bring up a child. Why do we forget that when we grow up, that it takes a village to survive?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of that, out of that, and I still empower people. I'm not as such active as I used to be, but I'm always in background. I observe, and if someone calls and say I need help, I'm always ready. I will never close my door if someone asks for help, and that's something we should all have all in our mind. Because next day it could be you,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
could be anywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
I know we all make bad experiences. Sometimes you help people and they let you down, they disappoint you, but it
Mm,
should never change your way to handle things and people. Because if someone decides to betray you or to do something wrong against you, this is their own decision. It should
mm,
not never stop you to be a good person or to be a good human being for others. That's my drive.
mm.
100%.
Fantastic, fantastic. Amina, thank you so much because you actually given preamble to the whole idea why Mike and I started this platform, the Opportunity Pulse. And we noticed that there are many of us all doing different things, but what we need actually is that powerful voice where we come together and highlight and like amplify the voices, amplify the efforts and the small activities we are contributing to this economy, to the education, to the politics, to the social welfare. Um, so the idea of this, why we're having you, is to give voice to that, to say like there are different people. Some have been long ago. They have been here for 40 years. Some have been here for 10 or 5 years or even months. But we all have a role to play in making this society a vibrant one for all of us, no matter whether you're from West or East Africa or from Southern Africa, whether you're German or wherever you are, that we all have a place and a role to play in this society. And that's exactly the role of this opportunity pulse. That would lead me to the next question, Amina, which is us showing the society that there is a role that we can play. As you've already explained, there are so many things that you have seen that have changed in the society. But one thing that we also noticed that has changed, that migrants are making a tremendous contribution to the economy, to the German healthcare system. They are making a contribution to the education system. They are raising families here. They are paying taxes. They are making the society work. They are contributing to the diversity, to the fabric of the society. But we also notice that the voices, especially those that have made it, do not seem to be noticed. So, as you've mentioned, that society tend always to pick one bad story about migrants and make it the whole story. Even though you mentioned we have 53 plus countries, you find that one particular story could just destroy the whole narrative, the image. Now, I would like to know from you, um, what can we do to change the narrative? Of course, we know we have to come together, like you've already started it, you with so many others. But what are some of the practical tips that you can share with us and also those who are listening and following us that they can do in their small circles, whether they're at university, at work, in every place where they are? What can they do to be noticed, to be visible, and to say we are here and we are here to make a contribution to society?
Well, first of all, to all of you, don't underestimate yourself. Don't put yourself lower than anyone else. Be proud of yourself. That is the first thing I can tell you. Uh, I think it's not all in all of us. We have not been brought up like that. That your self confidence, but there's no reason to feel less than a European person. There's no reason a black person to feel less than a European person. If you cut your body, we all have something red coming out. We are just all human beings. So
Yeah.
the difference, education is when we go to school, the difference between a student is always just what the one maybe was given by nature, a little bit more light in the brain, and the other one a little bit less, but doesn't mean that he's stupid. It just doesn't mean that he recognizes things in a different way. So there is no reason of underestimate ourselves, because that is also a form of racism against ourselves. And we
Yeah.
also have racism in our own communities. We always judge our own people. We judge ourselves so often, so that it makes easier also for someone else to judge us, because ourselves, we don't really love ourselves enough. We Africans, we also have a lot of issues we have to work about. But the other thing, as a migrant here in diaspora, first of all, we always tell everyone who come up, learn the language. That's the first point. Learn the language and understand the language. That's the only way to understand the system, the only way to be able to communicate your own needs, and to have arguments against people who whatever, or institution, what they will not tell you. Inform yourself. Be part of the politics. Go to meetings, go to campaigns. You have to inform yourself. Information is a power. So, and most of us, we come with the idea, I'll just go there, just have my job, earn my money, go back home and build my house, and that's it. But we end up being here 5 years, 6 years, 10 years,
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
Believe me, after 15 years, if you haven't gone back to Africa,
You're not going
you will
back.
not go back, because something happens with you within that time when we are here. We also we accomplish things. We integrate in our mind also here in Germany, even if you don't feel it right now and you feel foreign, but we integrate ourselves in such a
Yeah.
way that we
Yeah.
become part of this society, and all his benefits and disbenefits. So just try to integrate yourself, not as just to learn the language as we are told, and guter Deutscher muss Deutsch sprechen. No, no, no. Be part of this country, which we are, because it's not, as you said, Stephen, we pay taxes. We work as any other German here. We contribute to any kind of system. It's not that, uh, that's what I meant when they picture us as if all the migrants who are here, they're living on social help. It's not true. The majority is hard-working people. They get up every morning, up maybe even 4, 5 a.m. before even another Germany have got up, and go and do their job. I remember there was a campaign, election campaign, when it was like bringing Indians, experts to Germany. And the campaign was Lieber Kinder statt Inder. And I was like, if people knew how many migrants are covering the German Wirtschaft, if
Mhm.
we just start for 1 day or 2 days not to go to work, I think people will just then recognize what migrants are doing in this country. And
Yeah.
besides now, the last 40 years, go back the hundreds of years, the whole Europe is built on our backs. So there's no need of any of us to feel less than anyone. We contribute, we do our work, and we are allowed to be proud of it. And I, I preach to all Germans also. Then I know there are many good ones out there, that don't allow any other people to put negativity in your brain to make you feel that foreigners are just coming to take your jobs. They only, living on social help. They are all lazy. It's not true. There are also Germans who are lazy. There are also Germans who doesn't want to study. There are Germans who suggest clearly, why shall I go and work for that less money? My rent is paid, my everything's paid, my Krankenkasse is paid. Why shall I go to work? But and then at the same time they complain when an African or Iranian or Persian come and say, okay, I will do the job. I understand the things behind it, definitely. I know what the Gewerkschaft will say, but then you dump the prices, the Stundenlohn, and it's true, but the work has to be done. So someone have to do it. And
Yeah.
those why is Europe now going out to other countries to search for work power out
Mhm.
of German? Because people here, I don't know what happened. They are like sleeping, dormant, sick, scared. I don't know what it is. But it should not make all of us feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the tips I say. Engage yourself in each and everything. Prepare your children to be engaged in things.
Yeah.
Read books, read information, the right one. Differentiate. Even if someone tell you something, go back home, take your time and re-question things. What you hear, what you see. Media is horrible. It's wonderful and horrible at the same time. Because
Mhm.
what we get to see and hear in our daily base life, it's too much information which no one actually can process. Then that's why it's more important to reflect and ask yourself, is that what I hear and see really true? Or is just someone is like empowering me in the wrong direction?
Yeah.
What is my own opinion? Where can I go and share my opinion with others? And it's important for us migrants to involve in politics, as you see, because we are part of it. We are born here. I call myself German. I'm German because I've lived 40 years here. I know a lot about Africa, but I also know a lot now about German. I think German. I dream German, and I'm not ashamed to say it. And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong about it. There's some
Yeah.
other people are born here, the father were born here, and they're still struggling and fighting with the same thing to be told every day, when are you going back where you came from? Jesus Christ. We are
Mhm.
not the first one to move. It has been a mankind issue always to move from one country to another one, to one
Yeah.
nation to another
Yeah.
one, because it has been always in a human being. When I'm in a place where I'm not supported, where I'm not protected, where I'm in danger, I will move to the next door.
Yeah.
And it's not only an African thing, it's not only a Persian thing, it's not only a Palestinian, it's all of us. Even those, if you talk to the old Germans who experienced the First War and the Second War, they know what we are talking about. So
Yeah.
the pain is not only on one side. It's for us human beings, we have to have empathy for each other. Empathy for each other, everyone, whether it's white or black, or I don't know which color we can call out. Empathy to each and everyone, because no one leaves his home if it's okay.
Hm. Amina,
Yeah.
du hast wichtige Sachen gesagt. Deshalb möchte ich gerne, dass du diesen Satz auf Deutsch sagst. Warum sollte Migranten der Afro-diaspora wahrgenommen werden? Warum sind wir wichtig in diesen Gesellschaften?
We matter. Wir sind wichtig, weil wir viel Beitrag leisten. Wir sind nicht nur Sozialhilfeempfänger, wir sind nicht nur Putzfrauen, wir sind nicht nur die Bettler, die herkommen. Nein, viele von uns wurden geholt. Vielleicht ich nicht, meine Geschichte ist eine andere, aber viele kommen auch hier zu studieren, nicht auf Kosten des Staates. Ihre Eltern zahlen Studiengeld von zu Hause.
Yeah.
Sie werden geschickt, um einfach sich ihre Skills zu stärken. Und dann sieht jemand dich auf die Straße und denkt, oh, noch wieder so eine, die kommen hier und nehmen unser Geld. It's not true. Und wenn es so ist, dann hat der Staat das so entschieden. Dann wird man daraus was sehen. Wir geben das zurück. Wir arbeiten hart, wir zahlen die Steuern, wir contributen in allem, was möglich ist. Wir haben einen großen Beitrag zu diesem Staat. Wir leisten den täglich. Und es ist Zeit, dass man das auch immer wieder anerkennt und nicht uns immer als Parasiten sieht, sondern als Menschen, die dazugehören. Deutschland, akzeptiere, dass du auch ein Migrantenland bist. Ein Migrant, ein nicht Flüchtling, sondern ein internationales, kosmopolitanes Land bist. Denn es
Mhm.
hat nicht heute angefangen, es war schon immer so. Und especially when you are living in Berlin. Berlin has been always cosmopolitan city. Ja,
Yeah.
so alle, die hier leben, stärkt euch. Integration heißt nicht nur Deutsch lernen, A bis C1, sondern seid politisch. Geht zu Gremien. Sagt eure Meinungen. Seid nicht still irgendwo in Kameran und akzeptiert alles, was man euch sagt. Hinterfragt Dinge. Also ich meine, wir haben schon diese Medien, die uns mit allem füllen, wo so viel Propaganda läuft. Hinterfragt Dinge. Weil klar, es gibt viel Gutes, aber es gibt auch viel Schlechtes, was man als Gutes verpackt. Wir sind doch keine Schafe. Man folgt nicht nur. Man darf seinen Kopf einschalten und hinterfragen. Und wir Afrikaner, wir müssen mit dem Gedanken immer aufhören zu glauben, ich gehe erst nach Afrika zurück. Ich kenne viele Leute, die leben hier, da erlauben sich nichts. Sie leisten sich nicht, weil sie glauben, sie müssen jeden Cent nach Afrika schicken. Und dann werden sie alt, dann werden sie krank.
Ja.
Und dann sterben sie einsam, verlassen mit nichts. Und ich sage jedem, du lebst hier, mach dein Leben hier so gut, wie es geht.
Genau.
Du hast einen Bonus. Du hast einen Bonus, dass du in Afrika noch ein anderes Zuhause vielleicht hast. Aber dein jetziges Zuhause, dein jetziges Leben in Deutschland statt.
Ja.
Wenn du Familie hast und Kinder, kümmere dich um deine Kinder, mit denen du hier bist, mit deiner Frau, mit deinem Mann, mit deinen Geschwistern. Das Leben findet hier statt und es ist, weiß Gott, hart genug, hier klarzukommen. Deswegen diese Gummi, den wir sehen, wir machen uns krank, die Leute werden depressiv. Mental Illness, das wird gar nicht drüber gesprochen. Viele Afrikaner sprechen nie über psychische Erkrankungen und es ist sehr hart. Und ich sage das, weil ich eine Mediatorin für Menschen mit chronischer Erkrankung auch bin. Es gibt sehr, sehr viele Menschen, die chronische Erkrankungen entwickeln, sei es Schlafstörungen, sei es Konzentrationsstörungen, sei es, dass man einfach Ängste entwickelt, Angststörungen entwickelt, Aggression entwickeln. Aber das ist wie jeder andere auch, der irgendwie in eine Situation kommt, wo er einfach nicht mehr klarkommt. Aber wir fragen nicht nach Hilfe. Ich habe mal erfahren, dass die Rentenversicherung festgestellt haben, dass in Schulen und in Ausbildungsstätten viele Krankmeldungen von Kindern mit chronischen Erkrankungen aufgefallen ist. Aber diese Kinder tauchen und Jugendliche tauchen nicht in Reha-Behandlungen auf. Deswegen hat man manche Institutionen beschlossen, Leute mit Migrationsbiografie zu schulen, dass sie zu ihren Leuten hinzugehen und sie informieren, weil viele sind nicht informiert. Ihr dürft Hilfe in Anspruch nehmen. Ihr dürft zu einem Arzt gehen, ihr dürft zu einem Psychologen gehen, ihr dürft zu einer Bürgerberatung gehen. Es gibt so viele Hilfe. Ihr müsst sie einfach in Anspruch nehmen und euch informieren. Keiner wird immer kommen und sagen, hier ist die Info. Manchmal muss man fragen und austauschen. Das ist das, was ich sagen kann.
Ja.
Amina. Sehr gut, Amina. Und ich möchte nichts mehr dazu sagen, Amina. You have really nailed it down. And really, why I wanted you to say this also in German, because I believe that there are people here that needs to listen to this, and this is the role of Opportunity Pulse in this. That we want to show people that you want to make this home. We want you to make this your home, but we want to show the society that there's a lot that we're contributing to this. Which brings me to the next question. I mean, you have created something big, or you are in the process of creating something big, which comes from the power of storytelling, something that is very uniquely African, something that you're so passionate about, to show people the other side of Africa, to change the narrative, to make Germans know the other side of yours, like you come from, your roots. But this is, of course, possible because there are platforms like the likes of Ojirasoft. Would you like to tell us a bit about your interaction with Ojirasoft and helping you to create that story that is going to be probably one of the biggest chapter in your life, to now show people where is Amina Mugenyi coming from, and show the Germans that part of you, and show the part of the other world where you really come from, what a rich place that you come from.
Thank you, Stephen. First of all, you are the bridge between me and Mike and Ojira. It was you. It's your fault.
I apologize for that.
But if it comes to talk about that baby, the baby Mugenyi Eco-Tours. First of all, I would like to say Mugenyi is not, it didn't just happen to use that name.
Mm.
Mugenyi is Luganda word which means guest. And since I see myself as a guest, wherever I am, first of all, we are all guests on this world. And whenever I step out of my door and give someone's house, I'm a guest. Whenever I stepped out of my country and be in another country, I'm a guest. And beside that, it's my family name. Who is my father's name? My father was Swaimani Mugenyi, and he just bent it and called me Namugenyi because girls get the na, but it's
Okay.
Mugenyi. So it happened that before COVID, so 2019, I went to Uganda with my husband. We visited my family members and we did some nice activities and so on. And then I met a group of young people who have been in Queen Elizabeth doing their practicum there as tour guides. One particular guy came into my sight because he was so agile, he was so active, he was so hungry. He was so, in knowledge. He tried to give us all the information he had, and we had a lot of conversation, also with the others. Then we exchanged contact, and I said, okay, they told me they're studying, but they didn't have enough materials. If I said, okay, when I go back, I'll see what I can do. And it happened that I got some a Fachbücher here, and I sent them to them, and we stayed in touch. Unfortunately, it happened to me. I got seriously sick, very ill. I ended up in Charité, where I stayed for 4 weeks, and part of the time I was in intensive care. And when you experience something like that dramatically in your life, where you were, it was possible to end up in the other end of the world. So when I got back to my strength, I had time to think a lot and reflect things in my life. And since I always had passion for traveling, I love traveling. If I could, I would be every month in a different country. I love to experience people's culture. So that time, one of the young men used to call me every day, Mom, how are you doing? We heard you're sick. I was we talked, and he told me his story that he was actually living with his mom and he had no job. He has finished studying, but COVID, as we know, Uganda was completely shut down. There was nothing to earn, and they are farmers, but there was nothing coming. They were being blocked up from Kampala. So, and he told me he would like actually to continue with touring and being him self-entrepreneur. He don't know how. So, as I call myself, I do couch coaching. I started couch bed coaching. I told him one thing. I told him, you know what? If it's really something you have in your heart and you really want to be an entrepreneur, do me a business plan, as we have learned it here in German. So I use my experience of here now back to home. So I told him, you know what a business plan is? He had an idea. He said, sit down and write all those ideas you have in your mind. Write them first down. Then give me an estimate of what you think it shall cost and what you need from that. Do market research and so on. I give them all those homeworks. I say, and when you have done it, send it to me. And until today, I have that paper because he wrote everything by handwriting. And it has impressed me so much. Really, I was so impressed. I said, wow, this guy really is serious and he has understood what I meant when we talked. So then we exchanged, we talked, we said what do you expect, which direction you want to go. There's so many companies doing tourism in Uganda. So he said, yeah, but he's actually a farmer's boy. He's living really up country in West Uganda, and he doesn't even want to go in town. He wants to stay where he is to actually support his community. So we say, so it could be good to do community-based tourism so that you, first of all, you engage your community, but at the same time, they profit from it because most of people, they don't really profit from the big market of tourism. And there are also not so many young people. Most of people, they are the old giants until today. And yeah, that's how we came up after long yeah, exchanges that we came up to say, okay, with the name Mugenyi Eco-Tours, it happened by accident. We had some several names. Then we suggested Mugenyi matches because it means guest. It's also welcome. Be our guest. Vera Mugenyi Wafe. So we suggested to say to call it Mugenyi Eco-Tour with the aim and the vision of first of all being sustainable in tourism, working with people who have the same idea, working with accommodation who use eco materials, who build the accommodation with eco materials, but mainly supporting community people, the local people. Some of them they have their homestays. We use those ones. Some of them we go to their places, they cook for us and experience the really national food of Uganda. We formally try to we don't like to do the normal safaris as they know people know safaris, because safari is actually a Swahili word which means travel, rising, but it has a little bit bitterness of it, because when you look a bit of safari which used to be with the European standards, it used to be always animals have been to be shot, and and sometimes also people, human beings. So for us it's to show the beauty of our country. Uganda is very diversity. We have biodiversity, we have swamps, we have the Nile, we have the Lake Victoria, we have the hills, the mountains, the gorillas, the monkeys. We have the biggest number of primates actually in Africa. We have the biggest number of birds around the world. So there's a lot of to explore, but also a lot of cultures. We are Uganda is a small country, but we have different cultures. So my passion came up to say, why not try to bring my friends, which I know here, my network, all the colleagues I have, they ask me, where do you come from? So I already started 2017. I went with some friends and I took them to my mom. They met my village. My mom cooked for us. They said, wow, this is so beautiful. So, and I brought in all that and we created a Katogo, an Eintopf, and that's how Mugenyi Eco-Tour came out. And yeah, now we are trying. And then COVID came, of course, and you could not start appropriately to do the registration. So we can say basically since 2021, we have just started to come up and now give out some tours and test tours. And even right now, I've been 2 weeks. I went to visit my mom, and of course, I meet my team. I sit down with them. I'm I'm a creative director and try to coordinate German Europe with Africa, Uganda. So even if someone asks to travel to Kenya, I can try to build up a bridge that someone can travel to Kenya. But basically, Uganda is my baby. Uganda is my home. Uganda is my motherland. And it's for me a pleasure to help young people to find their strength and that what they love, not to leave the country, to go to Europe to suffer the way we suffer, but to use their strength in their own country. Because what happened when all the young people leave Africa? Our continent will lose. We lose the young people. I know we have Uganda is one of the countries which have a lot of jobless people, young people, but I think we can only help them to find their strength and to
Mm-hmm.
find the resources to work with those resources and skills which they have. The
Mm-hmm.
difference between the young people in Africa and here is that they are empowered here. They have everything from day one. They go to kindergarten until you go to Ausbildung and university. And
Yeah.
our children, they have the intelligence, they have the passion, but it's hard, I think, sometimes for them find someone, take them on the hand and just give them a little bit of guidance and
Yeah.
support them. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't say that I know everything, but what I've learned here, I try now to let it work for me and support the young.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Amina. Um, I was actually going to comment when I think the German version of what migrants should know in Germany, I think that actually hits the point a lot more than the English version. So, um, but it all brings everything back to what we're trying to do, which is know where you are today. That's your home. And we have the advantage that we can actually build two homes. That's one advantage and opportunity that we have. We can build two homes, but it's always important that you recognize your first home and be at peace there. When you are at peace there, you have to ask yourself, what next can I do?
Yes.
For all of us, if we look around, there is always something to do. And right now, how we are all connected, you to Steven, and then Steven to me, and then now the three of us. I recall, when you shared the idea of Mugenyi, how far you people have gone and where you also hope to be. And now just connecting everything back to our community and also what Ujira Soft is doing at the back end. Because everyone comes with different strength, but what we see is that everyone is unique. You just have to find that other partner that is able to bring out the best in you.
Yes.
And, you know, our community here at Opportunity Pulse is all about, recognizing the potentials that we have and also finding the partners within the network that can also help us get the best of what we are doing. So, I'm happy that you are happy with the works of Ujira Soft and also what we will continue to do. But even beyond that, I think the main story is knowing the advantage which we have as migrants living in Germany, that we primarily have two homes, and that the first home, which is where we are at that moment, we have to make it as beautiful and peaceful as possible because that's where we spend the most time.
Yeah.
And then for what we find out from there, we create other opportunities out of it while connecting with other people in the community. So I'm very happy with the work at Mugenyi, and I think when you were talking about Uganda, you painted it so nicely that
Hmm.
I just want to visit now.
You
You
should,
have
very good.
so
You
anytime.
should,
I'm ready for everyone.
Yeah,
you
anytime.
I
should.
mean, Mike, it's not that maybe someone who's listening may think, oh, these people, they are not doing anything here. They're just, manche könnte denken, ja, diese haben wir doch gesagt, die nehmen unser Geld und gehen nach Afrika. No, actually, das nennt man, das ist karitative Arbeit, die wir leisten.
Mm-hmm.
Also
Hmm.
die leisten wir hier sowohl in Jammern, indem wir auch hier Leute unterstützen, indem manche in Pflege arbeiten, indem ich habe im Kinderheim gearbeitet und mit Kindern hier gearbeitet, unterstützt. Ich habe in Seniorenheim, das war my first job, which I did, I arbeited in Senioren Center, that was 1991, 92. So, äh, ich war auch hier selbstständig. Ich bin gelernte Kosmetikerin und Visagistin und ich habe meine erste mobile Kosmetik in meinem Bezirk, ich weiß nicht, ob in Berlin die erste, aber in meinem Bezirk Spandau war ich die erste, die mobile Kosmetik hatte.
Wow.
Äh, Ich habe in Catering gearbeitet, in Gastronomie gearbeitet. Also viele von uns haben ja schon viele Jobs gemacht und das sind Skills, die wir mitkriegen. Das sind
100%.
Stärkungen. Ja,
Yeah.
also manchmal denken wir vielleicht, wir verzweifeln, weil mancher einer denkt, mein Gott, ich hatte vorher vielleicht Medizin studiert und jetzt bin ich hier und bin Putzfrau oder arbeite an der Bar. Klar, es ist nicht das, was du gelernt hast, aber das, was du jetzt machst, bringt ja wieder eine andere Skill, die du vielleicht vorher nie hattest. Also ich habe
Mm-hmm.
viel by learning, by doing. In jeder Arbeit, die ich gemacht habe, es gab Momente, wo ich dachte, das ist nicht meins. It's not mine, absolutely. Aber
Mm-hmm.
ich versuche mir immer das mitzunehmen, was mir nutzt, was mir hilft. Denn
Yeah.
am Ende, now, doing this project where I support others, it's not mine, but I support others with my strength.
Mm-hmm.
I bring all those skills I've learned over the years. Ich habe mir beigebracht, mit Computer zu arbeiten. Da gab es noch keinen Computerkurse. Mein Sohn saß neben mir, der hat sein Game Basketball gespielt, hat gesagt, komm her, zeig mir mal, afrikanische Mutter. Wo muss ich drücken? Welchen Knopf? Wie macht man das nochmal? So, but
Yeah.
thank God, over the
Mm-hmm.
years, when you get jobless, that is the opportunity we have German, with the advantage we have in Germany. Du gehst Förderungen, you get supported, you can do courses. Ich habe Computerkurse gemacht, Microsoft 365, ich habe Verkaufsmöglichkeiten gemacht, wie verkaufe ich was, wie präsentiere ich etwas, so, alles, was wir lernen im Leben, ist nie umsonst.
I
Das ist
know.
something which I can really commit and say, egal was du lernst, maybe for the moment you don't see it as something positive in your life, but
Yeah.
give it time. You discover you will need it and you use it. for the
Yeah.
right thing.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Wow, I can't even imagine we've gone over an hour since we started talking because it's so
Yeah.
interesting, so fascinating. I mean, we could
So we
sit
need a
for
second round.
yeah, we could sit here for 5 hours and I could continue listening to you. But I think you have said something very interesting, connecting it to what Mike has said. At Opportunity Pals is about creating that community where we bring different resources together. And within this community, we also have the resource providers and the people that actually can help you. The likes of Ojirasoft, which is basically a digital solutions platform. And I can tell you, there are hundreds of migrants who have great, incredible ideas, business projects,
Yeah,
and they're dying there in the shelf. They don't know how to bring it to fruition. So you don't have to let that happen because whatever you have, like what you're doing with Mugenyi Eco-Tours and the people that you're supporting back home, in a way you're creating, like what would say here, Völkerverständigung. You're helping Germans to discover the other side of the world, Africa, your roots. And the people that go and find out about the hospitality and the resources and the wealth of that country, when they come back, they're different. They will treat you different
Yeah.
because
definitely.
they have seen something different about you.
Yeah,
And I think this is what we can do. We can do a lot of things. We can provide services. We can create communities that create social cohesion that make other people appreciate. Maybe you. Last time we had a gentleman here who has created a platform that helps young people, young women and men who can do hairs, who plait hairs or do braids.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
This
Oh,
person is creating opportunities, employment opportunities, right?
yeah,
So we do have people that are doing incredible projects in the area of engineering, IT, or logistics, food supply, and so on. So I think this is the whole community we're trying to build. We are not exclusive, but we have made our focus to uplift the voices of the diaspora and giving them a platform to help them to find their voice. And by so doing, we want to be taken serious. We
Yeah.
want to be recognized in the society, and we want to create value to this society because we believe that Germany needs that kind of value. Um,
you're so right, Stephen. And what when I just a thought come up to my mind. It's like also we are
mm,
not only creating opportunities, but we are also transforming. We transfer, for example, German language also in our country. People are
Mm-hmm.
learning German right now, not only because they want to work, but the language is also becoming interesting. When I go at home and they hear me speaking, the people, young people say, "Oh, what kind of language is it? German? Oh, I would like to learn it." So we
Yeah.
are also promoting German on the other way,
yes.
and so for the Germans also they should see it as also an opportunity. I mean, we are overcoming the slavery history, and we are reaching out with our hands and giving them to people. Say we want peace. We know this. Our history is so bad. No one can ever, wie sagt man, gut, es gibt keine Wiedergutmachung, was die Geschichte, was Afrika und Europa betrifft. Es gibt keine Wiedergutmachung, was es je wieder gut machen kann. Die einzige Wiedergutmachung ist andere, wie Menschen zu behandeln, respektvoll und dieselbe Ebene, ohne Abwürdigung und ohne Missachtung und ohne irgendwelche Vorurteile. Das ist die einzige Art und Weise, wie man Frieden miteinander schließen kann. Und das wir machen es schon. Wir kommen immer wieder auf die Leute zu, man beleidigt uns, man bespöckt uns, man nennt uns alle möglichen Namen, aber wir Afrikaner, in unserer Seele, wir sind friedliebende Menschen. Und ich hoffe und bete, dass auch die Deutschen, die es noch nicht wissen, es erkennen und dementsprechend auch handeln. Also, reist einfach mit Mugenyi Eco-Tours, dann weißt ihr, wie wir Afrikaner sind.
Auf jeden Fall.
I like that. You don't. I will have to share the invoice because that was the best advertisement ever. So
100%. I think we're going to make a highlight out of that because
yeah,
that's the key message, really.
exactly.
Everyone needs to learn to understand your other person because if you don't learn, then that's where you have this prejudgment because you're talking mostly from a place of ignorance because you simply don't know. But
Yeah.
to know, you need to expose yourself, open yourself, and be willing to learn from the other person. And then the world is a better place to live in. So just rise meets Mugenyi. Put it back again that way.
Be
Yeah,
our Mugenyi, unza all Mugenyi.
Yeah.
yeah.
Genau.
So everyone could be a guest via Mugenyi. Check out Mugenyi Eco-Tours, and yeah, you might find something unique that you'd never known about Uganda, and the culture and the people and the humidity and the weather and the food. Yeah. So I think we should be coming to the end of this session. Mike, would you like to shoot the last question?
Yeah. So, I mean, this has been a very wonderful session. And frankly speaking, we have to do it all over again. Um, I think for me, you've already touched upon it briefly before, but just for us to wrap it up, what would your key message be to the younger generations today? What you've learned in the last 40 years, um, that you really want the younger generations to know today, and hopefully that they're going to have a better experience in Germany moving forward. But more importantly, also pass the same message onto the next generation so that we can begin to see a more positive trend moving forward.
Wow. Yeah, as a mom, as I've said, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a aunt, and what I tell my granddaughter and my niece and nephews, that what I would just say here. Go out in the world, discover it for yourself. Don't let people tell you what you're supposed to be, to do. Discover yourself. The world has a lot to offer. Be open. L- Learn things. Because when you stay in one place most of the time, even if you hear so many bad news and challenges, don't be scared.
Hmm.
Just go out, try it out, find it out. It's really learning by doing. Because that's the only way you'll find what you're really passionate about.
Yeah.
Because most of us, if they just tell you you have to do this, we remember how we grew up. It was we had four or five jobs: engineer, doctor, nurse, teacher. What else?
Being a lawyer or something.
A lawyer.
Pilot.
Yeah.
But the world have changed. There's so many opportunities, and I think there's no bad job. If it's that what you love, there's no bad jobs. Someone who's standing on the street and maybe is a hand worker or creating some, I don't know, a scripture, for him, it's not a bad job. But for someone who just wants to sit in the office and be a director, he may think that is useless what the other ones do.
Hmm.
There's no useless job. You find what you're passionate about, find what is fulfilling you, be open to others, be open for languages. And for the African young people, I've I've discovered one thing which we still have a problem with. Experienced it with my nephews. We have all these media handies in our hand, our mobile phones. We know how to access Facebook and Instagram and a little bit of WhatsApp. And that's it. Maybe even gaming. This is your mobile in your hand is a technological, very, very strong working. I don't even know what to say. And it's an Arbeitsgerät of German. How do you say it in the right word in English?
Yeah, it's a
It's
working
it's a
device.
working device, yeah.
Use it. Do research. Google is not only for fashion, nice, beautiful hair and suits and so on. You find a lot of Wikipedia. You find information. There's so many nice, good things, educating things. Before you start to say, how do I do it? I mean, there are really people out there free who give free information, educative information. Be curious. Try to learn and expose yourself and learn and just, yeah, that's what I can say. Be curious.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. Just to put it in two words, be adventurous, find out what you don't know, and be hungry for knowledge. That's
Yeah.
all that I
Exactly.
can say. Be
Exactly.
hungry for knowledge and network, engage, meet other people, and that's why Opportunity Pulse is here. And we'll be always bringing voices like yours in different areas. Thank you so much, Amina. Was great meeting you, catching up with you, and as a mother, as a grandmother, as a friend, as a sister, as a diasporan, we are very appreciative of the effort that you're putting into this community. So thank you so much. And on behalf of Mike and I, we would like to say thank you, and we hope this is not going to be the last time. And to anyone who would like to know more about Mugenyi Eco-Tours, please reach out to Amina, check out her online, and go and support her team. She's helping a lot of people creating opportunities back home. Support her, support their efforts, and yeah, we'll be so happy to hear the positive stories when people come back and tell what they have found out. Thank you. It was
Thank you
great
so
having you.
much. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Mike. Mike, you have become my other son out of those the others I have. Because really, Mike, with Ojira, you have been so supportive, and Stephen, you have been so supportive. I really appreciate from the deepest of my heart. I didn't even know. I think the only thing I could give you, just two of you, once we travel together to Uganda, sit under our mango tree and watch the matches unfold. So
Great.
thank you so much for everything. And as we say in Luganda, okutambula kulaba okudda kunyumya. Rising is a limb, Rukia is a sail. That's what we have been doing, and it is a life journey. So, vielen Dank für diese Einladung.
Sehr gerne.
Dankeschön. Das war sehr nett. Dankeschön.
So,
Mike, you have the mic.
so thank you everyone for tuning in. Learn more about us. Rewatch the video. I put all the links to our different websites here. Join our migration community on Settling. Check out the works that we are doing at Opportunity Pulse as well. So if you just scroll over the video, you see all the links. And yeah, subscribe to our newsletters. You'll find that also on our website. And we would love to have you in the community. If you're watching from Germany or outside of Germany, let us know. If you are outside of Germany and hope to come to Germany soon, would be nice to connect with us so that once you get into Germany that you have a smooth settling in. And if you're already here in Germany, we hope to see you soon. Opportunity Pulse is organizing a lot of events. Almost every other week, it's either live, online, or on site. We have a big event coming up in June, on the 13th of June. We hope you stay tuned and you will hear more from us. Thank you once more, Amina. We appreciate you, and I wish everyone a nice weekend.
Thank you, Ojila. Thank you, Setlin. And God bless you.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
So-